Okay, friends, here it is. Um, the long awaited and anticipated by some of you review, and shortly anticipated by the people who only knew I was going to be doing this from my Facebook post. My review of the movie adaptation of Dear Evan Hansen. Before I get started, I cleared up some space on my phone. Right now, it is letting me record at a little under 26 minutes, so these parts will be longer. And as I stated in my post, I have a lot to say, but I don't know how fast I'll get it across. Um, and I don't know how in depth I'm going to go on every single little thing. And you know how fidgety I am, so I'm going to be looking off in the distance and not staring at the camera the whole time because that's just who I am. If you have talked with me for more than 2 minutes, then you know that's how I am. But on with the review. Um, there's my ticket right there. Got it in my wallet. Add it to the collection of my tickets. I'm just gonna put it back in there. And as well, a couple weeks ago, I bought the novel, and I read it in 2-3 days. Very easy read, very large text, and I love reading. So even with a book that I thought I wasn't gonna like, it's easy to get through. Um, I'm gonna start with a little history on the subject of myself and the show Dear Evan Hansen. Um, I was aware of its existence as it hit Broadway because obviously I went to Tuacahn and a ton of my friends are theater kids like myself. And I saw a lot of you, some of you, most of you are still, I discovered through Facebook posts that you all made, and you were talking about this show, Dear Evan Hansen. And I didn't know what it was about, and people were just talking about how much they loved it, and it was like, okay, I don't, whatever. Um, and I really didn't think anything of it. And honestly, it fell under the what I consider a curse for me of people talk about a thing so much that if I haven't discovered it by the time people are overly talking about it, I don't want to discover it because it's already ruined for me before I've even seen what it was. And the way friends and people hype it up, there's no way that it'll ever live up to that. My friends and family did that with Frozen, and I would hate Frozen anyways, but I really, really don't like it because of how overhyped it was. And it happened with Hamilton, and same thing. I don't like Hamilton as is. I've tried watching it. I don't like it, but the overhype for it made me not want to seek it out, so I didn't. So when I finally did, it was like, well, this isn't for me anyway, so I wouldn't have liked it. But the hype certainly has made this that much more. Um, so I don't remember when I finally decided to listen to a song from Dear Evan Hansen. It might have been a random recommendation to me on YouTube since I watch theater stuff all the time. Um, but, and honestly, now that I think about it, I think it was a just random recommendation. A video popped up, and it was the original Broadway cast soundtrack. Uh, it was one video, and it was the song You Will Be Found. And at a whim, I just clicked on it. Who knows why I did it? I just do that sometimes. I browse YouTube. If something catches my eye, I look it up, and obviously I'd heard about the show before, so I was like, well, it's here, I'll listen to it. And that song broke me. I had never heard anything like it before. I had never heard a song encapsulate how I was feeling and the words I needed to hear at that time, whatever year it was. Um, I just know that I was in a really bad place when I discovered it. And so that song became a favorite of mine, and I didn't seek the show out or anything. I didn't have any desire to keep going. in depth to discover it, to watch it, to learn all the songs. I didn't care. I cared about the one song. Until one day when I was on that video listening to the song, I came across a comment of someone saying how problematic the show was. And I was like, huh, that's weird, because this is a really uplifting song, and like maybe I'm not getting the context, and maybe this is like an ironic thing and I'm being played for a fool. So at that point, I decided to look up the show on Wikipedia and read the plot synopsis. Act 1 and Act 2, whole thing. And what I read, I was baffled by. But I didn't think anything of it because I didn't care to seek out the show. And then a few years later, there's a podcast I started listening to. It's a couple of theater guys, and I haven't listened to them in a while, so I can't remember the name. But they made a video titled How Dear Evan Hansen is a Misleading Mess, or how it's manipulative, whatever the title was. But it was basically like 40 minutes to an hour of them talking about how bad it is and how bad the message is and yada yada yada. And I was like, well, yeah, I was really not upset by what I read, but I was like, really? And at that point, I sought out a way to actually see the show. And I came across what on YouTube is called a slime tutorial. I'm not going to point out what that is, but if you go on YouTube and just look up slime tutorial, you'll find a playlist. You'll automatically know what it is. And slime tutorials are a godsend for theater kids like me. Anyway, I watched the slime tutorial for Dear Evan Hansen, and I hated it. At that point in my life, I had never hated something as much as I hated Dear Evan Hansen. So for those of you who didn't know my opinion before starting this video and were hoping for an optimistic, positive, and 10 out of 10 review, sorry. I wasn't trying to give away that I hate the show in my post, and I wasn't trying to give the impression that I love the show, so, sorry if you were expecting a positive review. It was then at this point that I pointed out that I liked the songs Waving Through a Window and Words Fail. I really liked those songs, but the context, well, Waving Through a Window I don't have a problem with, but the context for Words Fail really just hit me in the gut. It hurt me because it was like, man, I love this song, these lyrics, this performance. It's amazing. But I can't love it because I know the context of everything leading up to this. And it's just completely ruined the experience for me. So that is my history with Dear Evan Hansen. And I'm stopping it there because now is the time to get into the actual review. So, I just saw the movie adaptation of Dear Evan Hansen, and it was not complete garbage. I hated it, and I loved it. And I'm going to explain why. Now, I've been really upset since they announced this movie because I've been waiting for adaptations of some of my favorites, like Wicked, or I would kill for a Jekyll and Hyde movie adaptation. I would kill. And I just discovered the Count of Monte Cristo musical because Tuacahn here is doing it. And Count of Monte Cristo is one of my favorite stories of all time, and I had no idea it was a musical until Tuacahn announced they were doing it. But my point is, I've been waiting for movie adaptations for musicals I actually care about. I was really upset because Dear Evan Hansen doesn't deserve a movie adaptation. It doesn't deserve all the Tonys it won. It doesn't deserve all the attention it gets. It doesn't deserve all the love it gets at all. I'm not trying to undermine the work that went into it. I respect the hell out of everyone involved in it. I don't believe anybody went into writing the show, writing the music, writing the lyrics. I don't believe anybody went into this with ill intentions whatsoever. But they went in very misinformed, and they went in wanting to spread the wrong message. So obviously, I was upset at hearing Dear Evan Hansen was getting a movie adaptation because one, I knew I was gonna have to see it because all my friends know I see everything, and two, I knew all of you were gonna be bothering me about seeing it because at this point, some of you already knew I hated it because we talked about it. Um, but I gave in, and honestly, as as it got closer and closer to releasing, I was actually finding myself getting hyped for it because I still have the songs I like because I've discovered that the three songs I liked, You Will Be Found, Waving Through a Window, and Words Fail, I could separate those from the context of the show when I listened to them and be totally fine. We'll get into one song that I really hate and I absolutely will never separate the context because it pisses me off. But we'll get there. Um, so, I'm going to start at the beginning of the movie. Uh, you already know I hate it. So there's my review for those of you who don't want to get spoiled from here on out. I will be spoiling it if you have not seen the show. Again, you can check out a slime tutorial, or movie comes out tomorrow, so you can go see the movie. And for those of you who have seen the show, and honestly, the movie doesn't change any big plot points, it's the same thing. There's little details that change that maybe you would like to see for your own instead of hearing me talk about it, and that's totally fine. Um, but yeah, for those of you who have seen the show, I'm not going to be spoiling any major plot points because if you've seen the movie already. Um, so without with that, um, those of you who don't want to get spoiled but still want to hear my rating, um, I will. I'm wondering if I want to give it to you. Nah, I'm being an asshole. I'm giving this one a 2 out of 10. Not a 1. It wasn't complete garbage, and there were saving graces. I do plan on seeing it again while it is running in theaters, and I will be buying it on Blu-ray because I'm trying to build my Blu-ray collection. Yes, I even buy movies I hate. And again, there are saving graces in this movie that would get me to own it. And I will get into those as I go into my spoiler, but I'm giving this one a 2 out of 10. So for those of you who don't want to be spoiled, turn off right now. And those of you who don't care or have already seen the show or the movie, stick with me and let's get into it. So, hang on, let me get a swig. This is going to be quite a bit. All right. So, those of you who asked me if I was going to see the movie and if I wanted company or if I wanted to get a group together or everything, and I told you no, I need to see this one alone for personal reasons, and I know all of you understood, and I am so thankful that all of you understood because I was right. My prediction was right. I would have been a nightmare to see this movie with. Half of it was me rolling my eyes and being my overly harsh reviewer, as everyone thinks I am, and the other 50% was me sobbing my eyes out and me being able to contain my breath and just being a sobbing mess. So there's that for those of you who wanted to see the movie with me. I'm really glad no one did, and I'm sure you are too. Excuse me. So we'll start at the beginning. Right at the start, starts the same as the show. It's Evan typing out his letter to himself. And the movie automatically goes into waving through a window. Anybody have a map is cut out. And the parts of anybody have a map are still in the movie, but it's just dialogue during waving through a window. Which, fine, waving through a window works as an opening number. I'm telling you, honestly, I don't really like Anybody Have a Map. It's kind of a meh song to me, so I'm not upset about that one not being included. It was just a little jarring, and I had to get used to it. Like, oh, we're here already. Okay, I'm hearing one of my favorite songs right in the first minute of the movie. Um, First complaint that everyone's having that I'll get out of the way: Ben Platt. Yeah, he's way too old to play Evan. But have you seen movies? How many 30-year-old teenagers have you seen before? I'm sorry, this is not the movie to start complaining about it where you're going to be like, I will not see this because Ben Platt is almost 30. It's like, so many of your favorite movies probably have 30-year-olds playing teenagers, so fuck that complaint. I'm just getting that out of the way. Because he's still great. He still obviously cares about the character. He still has the talent. He's an incredible singer. And honestly, I didn't want anybody else playing Evan because he's the one I'm used to. I didn't want to have to get used to someone else because I needed my mind to be invested somewhere else. Um, so yeah, he's still great. Um, I noticed they came with the Les Mis movie approach, and they had everybody sing live on set. And if they didn't, it certainly sounds like they did because you can hear the echoes in the rooms they're in when they're in a big room. Um, yeah, it's not booth singing. They were singing it live, which was good. Honestly, I think it helped with the emotion of the songs, and it really helped to put the actors in character. Um, better than just lip singing along would, which made the message come across better in the songs that are actually good. Um, First off, after that, I'm gonna get my harsh reviewer out of the way. The filmmaking in this movie was garbage. The cinematography was garbage. The editing was garbage. The sound mixing was garbage. The sound editing was garbage. It all sounded bad. It all looked bad. It was made by the guy that made Wonder and Perks of Being Wallflower, and those movies are so unspecial with their filmmaking that I expected no less. But come on, I felt like I was watching a TV movie, and it was like, oh, this is not, this ain't it. Just everything about it was wrong, which helps contribute to my 2 out of 10 rating. Because we'll get into that later. Um, so we go waving through a window, and we go. It kind of rushes along like the show does. It takes its time where it needs to, but it's mostly a rush along to get to the important stuff. It's like first thing show's happening, and next thing I know, Connor's getting the letter that Evan wrote to himself, and I'm like, oh, we're here already. Oh, okay. I know it happens fast in the play, but I don't know. I guess I was expecting a bit more. We're not introduced to the Murphys at the beginning. We are introduced to Connor and Zoe when Connor yells at Evan for laughing at him and Zoe apologizes. But we don't see Mr. and Mrs. Murphy at all in the beginning. The first time we see them is when they come to tell Evan that Connor has committed suicide. So again, it all just rapid. It goes really fast. I'll get this out of the way as well. I already complimented Ben Platt singing. He's great. His emotions still come across again. I can tell he cares about the character. Not everyone sounded great. The actress that plays Zoe, Caitlin Dever, is a recent favorite of mine, so I'm definitely biased when it comes to her. I can tell she's not a professional singer, but she still sounded good. She sounded way better than Emma Watson in Beauty and the Beast. I will give her that. But again, it's obvious she's not a professional. Amy Adams barely sings in it. Julianne Moore has one song, and for those of you who know who she plays, I'm sure you can imagine what song it was. Yeah, singing was good all around. Again, the live singing really did help. I think it might not work for everybody, but it worked for me. So next up, I've gotten my filmmaking out of the way. I've complimented the singing. The acting was bad. Ben's good because he's got the character down, so he knows how he's gonna play Evan, and he's good for the stage. He's not good for film. I don't think he's good for film. it may be hard to believe, but stage and film acting are two separate things. Ben's got the stage acting down. He did not translate well to film. So I tried to not be distracted by that, and it still worked for his singing, so I'll give it that. Amy Adams, Julianne Moore are golden gods among actresses, so they're incredible. Caitlin Dever is incredible, but again, I'm biased. And everyone else was terrible. I'm sorry for those of you who love some of the others in the movie, but everyone else was terrible. Um, I didn't like Jared. I didn't like Alana. I didn't like Connor. I really didn't like Connor. Thank God he's not in it a lot. Um, but there's that. um, jeez. I'm still recovering from all the crying I did over the last 2.5 hours, so please forgive me. My face is swollen and my head hurts. So, um, yeah, get back to the movie. Evan's writing a letter to himself. Connor finds it. Connor storms off, and Evan's worried about what's going on. And up until this point, the movie's pretty much the same as the play. There haven't been changes made. There's only been things cut. So I knew what was coming. With the small details and everything and character introductions, it was just a little jarring with the things that were cut out. So I had to get used to, oh, we're not doing that. Here we go. Um, and you know, Connor leaves, and next thing you know, it's 3 days later, and it's like, well, okay, I know what this scene is. It's Evan at the school. He gets called to the principal's office. There's Connor's parents, and for some reason, they made Connor and Zoe's dad their stepdad. When I heard that in the trailer, I thought I was mishearing, and so I rewatched the trailer again today before seeing the movie, and no, stepdad. And again, I got the clarification in the movie, and I thought there was going to be some sort of change, but there's literally nothing. There was no reason to make him the stepdad. I was like, what the hell? Like, I expected some kind of payoff of some sort by the end, but it's like they just explained that Zoe's dad died when she was 1. It's like, oh, okay. So this guy, this stepdad is Larry. Um, it seems so unnecessary and unusual. I really don't understand why they did it. Um, and the Murphys tell Evan that Connor committed suicide 3 days ago. And the scene pretty much plays the same. Evan tries to explain that Connor didn't write it, and the Murphys interrupt him, and he tries to give them the letter back because Connor had Evan's letter that he wrote to himself when he killed himself. And that's when Mrs. Murphy sees that Connor has written his name on Evan's cast. Again, I'm not going into full detail explaining everything because if you're here, then you've already seen the show or the movie. So I'm doing a run by run so I can get my thoughts out. So there's that. And then next thing you hear is that the Murphys invited him over for dinner so that he can tell them about his and Connor's friendship. And this is when we get into the real bulk of the show. I wanted to keep this first part kind of a summary of things and give my short review for no spoilers and my rating and kind of cover what I'm going to be doing. As I go through play-by-play, I'm going to be going into the personal details as the scene pertains to those personal details. The review might slow down significantly at those points because I don't know how much I'm done with crying for the night. We'll see. Again, I will try to keep my composure. And again, this is going to be rough. This is going to be heavy when I really get into it. So if it is too much, please turn this off and do not force yourself for my sake. I'm getting this out there for the people who wanted to know. And I'm getting this out there for myself so that I can finally explain why I hate this show and this movie with every fiber of my being. So with that, I'm going to end part 1 here. Part 2, we will keep going in depth into the story, and we will really get into the base of why I hate this show. Again, I'm sorry for those of you who thought this was going to be a review of me saying I love it. I really do apologize. But I'm going to upload part 1 It takes about a half hour to upload. As soon as part one's uploaded, I will record part two and upload that, and we will keep going until my review is done. So stick around. If it takes too long, please watch them tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, once they are all uploaded. So again, thank you all for your interest in my movie reviews, and I will see you in a bit.